Hello and welcome to Ward Talk, CTN's look at the political scene in Ann Arbor. I'm your host, Bonnie Gabowitz. We're discussing issues and solutions with the city council members from our 5 wards each month. Joining us today is Mayor Christopher Taylor. Welcome, Mayor Taylor. It's so good to see you again.
It's my pleasure to be here.
And as we do every year, I'd like to talk to you about what the city has accomplished, what your challenges were, and looking ahead to the future as well.
Super.
We have so many topics to cover.
Let's bring it on.
So let's just start with the pandemic and how the city has adjusted to all the changes and all the preventive measures. Where are we at now with availability to go to meetings and have enough staff to care for the city?
Yeah, so the transition during 2020, of course, and 2021, moving through 2022 has been really important for the municipal organization. We decentralized very quickly at the beginning of the pandemic, and we were able to take advantage of, sort of emerging technologies for most of us, Zoom and Teams and the like. And then because the legislature adjusted the Open Meetings Act during the course of the core of the pandemic, we were able to have our public meetings online through Zoom. Now with that portion of the pandemic that on the wane, or at least judged to be so in the wisdom of the legislature, the Open Meetings Act now continues to obligate us to have some of our meetings in person, and so that's what we're doing. City Council, Planning Commission, many of the boards and commissions, some of the council committees and so forth, those are all in person. Now, however, the utility of Zoom and remote work is still very plain to us, and so we've done a couple of things to help staff do their jobs better and more efficiently for them, but also to provide transparency and engagement for residents. At council meetings and at boards and commissions and the like, where we do have commissioners or council members in council chambers, we will almost always have staff, the majority of staff, working with us online. This way they come in through Zoom, they're able to interact with council members and the public and petitioners. That is good for them. They're able to not have to have the drive home after the late meeting. And so that's, I think, a benefit for staff. But also, just super quickly, we're able to extend participation, public participation in meetings, public comment, public hearings and the like, to folks who aren't able to come downtown. Not everybody we know is able to come and sit around in city council chambers from 7 o'clock till X. People have to go to work, people have children, people have mobility issues. Now they are able to participate in full online through Zoom, and it's a real benefit, I think.
So it sounds like there's actual improvement in how the meetings are run and the ability for community engagement as well. Absolutely.
We were in years past used to hearing from a subset of people who had the ability, the financial resources, the physical resources, the flexibility to come to city council and sit around till all hours to a public hearing. Now you are able to do that from your home, online. You can call in, give us your public comment that way, and it really helps, I think, broaden the availability of public engagement to a much greater set of our community.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know the city has been dealing with certain challenges for many years, such as the plume problem, sure. And then there are some new projects that have also arisen, just so many. So let's just start with the street repair.
Yeah.
Because I know the city has worked very hard to, first of all, identify which streets need repair and to what degree they need repair. So there's a priority list, shall I say.
Yeah.
But I don't believe all of the repair has been done. So
no, not quite.
If that's an understatement, I don't know.
A little bit. Yeah.
So tell us about how that project is going.
Yeah,
because I know it involves funds coming from other sources as well as the city, correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
We get a substantial portion. Most of our road money comes from the state. And the state has historically been 50th out of 50 in road spending, per capita road spending for years. I think they're ticking up to 46 last time I checked. And so, we've had decades of underinvestment, and we need to work on that. We also have local millages. There's a local major streets, local streets, bridges, sidewalks millage. The county also has a millage that gives us substantial road work. So we do have resources. We have graded our various streets so that we do know their pavement conditions. We understand the conditions of the infrastructure underneath the streets, which often relates and sometimes even drives the timing of our street repairs. And so we work on our streets that way. Back in March of 2021, we passed, March 2022, we passed a road bond and issued a road bond before interest rates started ticking up, I'm happy to say. And so that will mean that we'll be able to accelerate street repair, particularly local neighborhood street repair, over the next couple of years. The next year, the year after that, I think you'll see a lot more streets getting fixed. You'll see a lot more orange cones and detours. It'll be a little bit of stress, but it'll mean what I think people are looking for, and that is better neighborhood streets, better local streets.
Yeah, and I understand one of the complications is that some streets, such as Huron Street, are controlled by the state rather than the city. Is that correct?
That's correct. So Jackson, Huron, Washtenaw, the North Main, these streets are owned by the state. They're under MDOT control, and so we don't have the authority with respect to fixing them, and importantly, we don't have the authority with respect to design. And so
that definitely complicates plans to do things, because everything has to go through their channels and their funding.
That's exactly right. For years, for example, we've wanted to have the opportunity to work on North Main, to make North Main a more attractive gateway into town, a place where cycling and pedestrian access was unleashed, where we could improve the commercial nature of that district. And we've been frustrated by MDOT's unwillingness to deviate from their views of the road, which are essentially a part of an on-ramp and off-ramp from 23. We have commissioned a study. That study is going to investigate the feasibility of taking those roads over from MDOT, and we'll see what goes from there. Taking them over would, of course, mean that over the long term we would have design control, which would be incredibly important. It would also mean we'd have repair control, which means that we have to figure out whether we'll be able to pay for it. Part of this package, part of taking over the responsibility of a street from MDOT always entails MDOT making essentially a capital down payment to the receiving jurisdiction for the street. So it's not as if Washtenaw in its current condition would come to us without any capital to affect its repair. We would typically expect to get some kind of multi-million-dollar payment to take the street over in perpetuity from the state. At the end, we'll see what the study tells us, but it is, I think, a real opportunity for us.
Great,
Yeah.
okay. And I know that one of the big projects this year is called TC1. And from what I understand, you're still developing that plan and making decisions. So what is definite at that point?
Sure.
And then what is still...
What is to come?
Yeah.
Sure. So we're sort of halfway, I think, broadly speaking, through the TC1 project. TC1 is a zoning designation. It's a zoning district which enables property owners within the TC1 districts to utilize their buildings in certain ways, to create buildings that conform with the restrictions and opportunities within the TC1 district. It's designed to increase density on corridors, on transit corridors. It's designed to have mixed-use properties on transit corridors. We've already put our TC1 designation down State and Eisenhower. We've done it too a fair bit on Stadium all the way up through Maple. And over the next couple of years, I'm hopeful that we'll see real changes in those areas. We'll see hundreds, if not thousands, of people living on these corridors. We'll see expanded commercial districts. We'll see those interacting with each other. We'll see expanded pedestrian and cycling opportunities on those streets. It's going to be, I think, a way for us to have more attainable property, more attainable units, residence units within Ann Arbor, put people on transit corridors so they can come in and out of downtown more likely without a car. I think it's going to be a real benefit. Super briefly, in the future, we're also going to be looking at TC1 for Plymouth and Washtenaw. That's where we're going to be considering TC1 next over the next couple of months and years. And then we'll have new zoning districts suitable for transit corridors and for the development they can bear.
So are you expecting with these zoning changes, there'll be more opportunity for new construction of multifamily buildings, basically?
That
That's
is
what you're
exactly
looking for.
exactly right. That is the hope. Right now there's a lot of one-story buildings on these transit corridors, and that's not an effective use of space. Some of these buildings are been there for decades. They have businesses we love. Hopefully they'll be able to stay. But broadly speaking, these are underutilized portions of our city. We need more people to live in Ann Arbor. We have tens of thousands of people come in and out of Ann Arbor every day. It creates economic segregation. It creates racial segregation. It's not good for our A20 goals of carbon neutrality by 2030. We want folks to be able to live here. They need places to live. Supply and demand is real. We need more residential units, and transit corridors are great places for those to land.
Okay. So, but you do have some more decisions to make before it's totally finalized?
Well, with respect to Stadium in Eisenhower, with State in Eisenhower, and with respect to Stadium in North Maple, the TC1 designation is in place now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's definitely progress.
That's exactly right. Now, we're in the process of sort of reconsidering, some of the tweaks of TC1, and we'll be able to make those changes or not downstream. But right now, those districts are zoned TC1, and property owners have the ability to, build buildings that are in conformance with those requirements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're already halfway through the show.
Well, there's so much more to talk about.
We're going to get back to that in just
All right,
a few minutes.
I'll talk quick.
We want to hear from you, so please email us questions to ctn@a2gov.org or tweet us at #CTN in Arbor. We're taking a break now. We'll be right back with more from Mayor Taylor.
Ann Arbor residents can compost in the city-provided carts throughout the winter.
Winter composting is being offered again this year, the first full week of each month, January through March. This is the weeks of January 2nd, February 6th, and March 6th.
Composting in the cold comes with its own set of challenges.
Winter compost, we're primarily dealing with food waste. So that means your various food scraps, if you can squeeze the liquid out of them or make sure to let the liquid drain before putting in the cart. So if everybody in Ann Arbor were to start being able to take advantage of the composting program, not only would you remove one of the sources of methane, but you would be creating a usable product, because all that food waste goes into our compost program, which gets turned into material that people can use in their yards for their gardens and their plants in their yards.
I'm Bonnie Gabowitz, your host for Ward Talk. We're continuing with Mayor Taylor. And Mayor, we have so many topics, but I want to make sure there's something dear to your heart, and that is the environment and climate action. And I know we've made big steps since a year ago. Mm-hmm. So what have we accomplished this year?
Sure. So we've done a lot with respect to climate action. We've, with particularity, we are already rolling out, thanks to the American Rescue Plan, we were able to purchase solar panels on so many of our city properties, and so we'll be rolling out those over the next year or two. And then, of course, the voters just passed this community climate action millage in November by a 71-29 vote, and I just couldn't be more excited. That's going to be a 20-year millage. Probably going to start off at around a $7 million clip per year to help the city reach its carbon neutrality goals of community-wide carbon neutrality by 2030.
So where are the expenses that you need the money to begin with, besides, let's say, you've got the solar panels in place that we can get with federal funding. So what is the expense?
What does all that go to anyway?
Yeah.
What's the big deal? Well, it will also mean some panels. So like the city is a player in this. We do have our own electricity that we use, and so it's going to mean that we are going to be able to continue to buy panels to take municipal operations down to zero, and that's incredibly outstanding. We're able to also do that with Inflation Reduction Act support from the Biden-Harris administration.
And I know you're interested in having less gas appliances in the city and more electric usage. What can the city do? What power does the city have to have any control, let's say, over new developments, new buildings?
Yes.
Does
so
the city have the power to control that?
We're looking at that right now, and we're exploring what our options are, and so that's a particularly exciting place to go. But one of you asked where the millage dollars are going to go. It's going to go to additional recycling, additional composting, of course. It's also going to mean that we're going to be able to support purchasing solar panels for the city municipal organization, but also helping residents go solar through like the Solarize program and others. We're going to be able to help support community solar. Hopefully going forward, we'll be able to put a 20 megawatt array on our landfill, our capped landfill out in Pittsfield Township, which will also help us take municipal operations offline. We'll be able to use those monies to help residents electrify. So we'll be able to conduct energy audits, insulate houses, build new roofs, bulk buys on electric appliances. Those are some of the things. In addition, we'll be able to build neighborhood resilience centers so that in the event of a power outage, people will have a place to go. The Community Climate Action Millage will also help support our broader efforts. We are looking at potentially municipalization of the utility. We're also considering a sustainable energy utility, which is essentially a series of nanogrids where locally generated electricity that's clean and resilient is be able to be used by neighborhoods and houses along the way.
Now, is any of this developed from any kind of surveys the city has done to get input from the citizens?
Oh, absolutely. The A20 plan was created back in 2020 and continues to be iterated going forward. And we are constantly looking for input from residents about what it is they're looking for, but also importantly from community groups that are focused on things environment and sustainability, technical experts that partner with us. We also want to make sure that other community organizations that really don't have a direct sustainability focus are able to partner with us so that we can help them see where they have opportunities, and we can all work together to get to our carbon neutrality goal at 2030.
Okay, and I know we've had concern about our water quality. So what has been done this year, and is there anything new coming down the pipe next year as to how we deal with the water quality?
So there's a couple of things. First, there's the water treatment plant. We continue to work on planning to rework our water treatment plant up on Sunset Way, and that's going to be a multi-year, tens of millions of dollar project. Right now, we have technology at the water treatment plant that dates all the way back to the 1930s, and that's a long time. That's planks of wood on chains, and it's just not the way that it ought to be. And so, we're working to have a modern water treatment plant. Now, right now, we also, understand the set of contaminants that we face. We face 1,4-dioxane, we face PFAS, but there may be contaminants in the future which we're presently unaware. And so, the designs for our water treatment plant need to be flexible, need to be, have additional treatment options deployable when they arise. With respect to
This is very complicated then.
it is very
Yeah.
complicated. We have excellent staff working on
Yeah.
this. It's something that we all take incredibly seriously. You know, we need to make sure that, as it is presently, you know, the city's drinking water is clean, safe, delicious, and you know, there 24/7 whenever you need it. And you know, that's the way it is, and that's the way it's going to be.
Okay. And in terms of, we have a new commission that is relatively new, the Rent Control.
The Renters Commission.
Rent Commission,
Yes.
right. And I have rent control as a note, that's why I said that. But is there any history of the city having rent control in the past? Is that something that is going to be looked at in the future?
Rent control is prohibited by state law, and so rent control is not
That's
on,
not even on the
It's not even on.
table.
It's not on the agenda.
Yeah.
But I'm incredibly excited about the Renters Commission. You know, the over half of Ann Arbor residents rent, and while we don't have complete authority over those relationships, we do have the ability to take some steps in order to ensure that that folks who rent that have a sense of stability, have a greater sense of stability, a greater sense of perhaps not investment or ownership, but a greater hold on their home, because that peace of mind is incredibly important.
Right, and with the large university, the college population, they also need to have policies that work well within their plans, since they might be here temporarily.
Yeah, we need to make sure that that the laws that the city controls, that that they are there to to increase the quality of life for folks everywhere in the community, and certainly with respect to renters, their housing situation is incredibly important to them. It is also one over which they don't have a great deal of control because of the inherent power imbalance of tenant-landlord, and we need to see what we can do to reasonably affect that playing field.
And we had another commission that deals with police oversight. And, we haven't talked about that in quite a while.
Yeah.
But they did have an active year in looking at how everything can improve.
Sure.
So over the year, what if there been any changes made?
Yeah, well, we've been working closely with the Independent Community Police Oversight Commission, and I guess there are 2 points I'd like to touch upon with respect to policing. The first and most recently, this is in clear work with ICPOC already, and that's putting together a new police contract. We obviously negotiate our contracts with the local police union. We were able to put together a 4-year contract which provides important pay improvements and sort of rationalizations, reasonableizations for officers to make their employment conditions better, but also provides for substantially increased transparency and substantially increased accountability.
And when does this contract start?
I think beginning of the year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're going to be, the chief is going to have a greater amount of flexibility with respect to how the department is run, and we want to make sure that their officers continue to do their work professionally, that they're that they are there when you call them, and that they do their job with excellence. Now, the other aspect with respect to policing is that we are looking very closely at an unarmed response program. This is something that I've worked on over the past couple of years, and it's getting off the ground, particularly because we have ARPA dollars, and we're running a pilot. We'll be running a pilot over the next probably 18, 24 months, getting that off the ground then, and we will be able to provide folks an opportunity to call for government help without a weapon showing up.
Yes, and I understand many other cities are looking into this approach as well.
They are, because police, even police who are excellently trained, like they are in Ann Arbor, like they are not experts in all things. They are there to help with law enforcement, but that's where their training primarily lies. Although they naturally get other training as well. Not every call for government help is a crime. Not every call for government help relates to some kind of emergency for which an officer is best suited. And so what we want is we want to give people an opportunity to get government help when they need it on the quick that doesn't involve a gun. And so our unarmed response program will be, we're running through public engagement now to get the design. We'll put together an RFP over the next couple of months. That RFP will be issued, and hopefully we'll be able to roll it out on the time frame that I described. It'll be funded initially with American Rescue Plan dollars. We've set aside $3.6 million for the pilot program. After that, we'll see what funding source we can touch, and I'm pretty hopeful that it'll get off the ground and it'll be a service that community members appreciate.
Okay, so we'll be following this for the next year.
I'll talk to you next year and I'll tell you all about it.
Right. And there have been some community discourse online about the concerns about gentrification, especially in downtown area. Where you have some of these old small buildings being torn down, and newer buildings, possibly higher buildings. I know one person was saying they don't have as much sunlight anymore. We've got taller buildings. So how does the city find a balance between, looking at modern life and the needs of a city, as well as keeping the flavor, let's say, of the city, the certain personality that Ann Arbor has? I know that's a very big challenge for you.
There is. I mean, it's a tension. I guess I'd say a couple of things. One, with respect to the downtown, about a third of the downtown is historic districts. And so, those facades are going to
be protected.
That's going to be the way that it is. There'll be some tweaky changes here and there, but that's going to be the way that it is. I guess, too, I'd say, all successful cities grow. All successful cities change, and the development of new exciting businesses and the loss of old businesses is the way of the world. I think back about Drake's. Wistfully, I loved Borders where it was. I went to Jacobson's. These places are they're in your heart, but sorry about my mic, but they are. The successful cities do change. We do need more people downtown. It's going to be good. It's good for our environment. It's good for to reduce economic segregation, to reduce racial segregation. We will be using city-owned parcels downtown to build affordable housing, which will have retail components. It's a set of changes that we're going to need in our community, and so just finding that right balance, enabling us to move forward. In the end, the built environment is an important part of our character, but the character, really are the set of people that we have, the set of values that we have, and I think those are strong, and those continue to move in very much the same direction as they always have. We're a welcoming community, a community that wants people to come and enjoy, and that we treat everyone with open arms.
So, Mayor Taylor, in the minute we have left, how many years have you been mayor now?
I've been mayor for 8 years.
8 years,
yes.
Okay. So give us your personal perspective on, what it's been like for you, seeing all these changes, dealing with different committees and commissions and all kinds of different points of view. How has it changed you personally?
Well, I think that I continue to be incredibly excited. I learn every time I go to a meeting. I listen to what people have to say. I understand their perspectives, and that is always that sort of keeps the job fresh.
So you like the challenge?
I love the challenge. I love learning. I realize the more I do the job, the more I realize I have to learn. I think that's at the core of doing the job well. I have what I think, but I always have to realize that. My vision for the city is mine, and while voters have ratified it, it's not everyone's, and so I have to take everything into account, try to understand everything, and then try to help the community move forward.
Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
As always.
And I look forward to the next year.
It's a deal.
Remember to join us for a new episode every month. We want to hear from you. So you can email us at ctn@a2gov.org, attention, Ward Talk. You can also follow CTN and ask questions on Twitter at twitter.com/CTN in Arbor. We'll make sure to include your questions. To watch this and all other CTN programs, please head online to youtube.com/CTN in Arbor. For Ward Talk, I'm Bonnie Gabowitz. Until next month.